Michael Jordan tells me one day he wants to be the best player it's ever played here, and I said, well, you got to work harder than you did in high school. He said I worked as harder as everybody else. I said, oh, excuse me. I thought you just told me you want to be the best player to ever play here. They said, I'm going to show you.
Michael Jordan is not only the best basketball player, but he's the most exciting basketball player to ever play. We only dream about doing things that he can do. Jordan opened Chicago with the lead.
Glad to trace my evolution. The Michael Jordan evolution. It always had to start back in college, hitting a shot against Georgetown in 1982, when I really didn't know exactly what I was doing.
It awakened a person inside of me to excel, to excel to be one of the best, or be the best that drove me. And I guess with that shot, it kind of ignited a fire inside of me that nothing was going to stop.
My biggest motivation in life, is to compete, find different competitions and certain things in life and try to overcome that, be a positive or negative. But I have yet to meet someone who is as competitive as me.
Was 97, we was in Minnesota and Flip had switched and put me on. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest probably ever touch a ball, and I counted his dribbles. I was able to catch his dribbles, I count the dribbles. 1-2 come across when I blinked, he was gone. I turned around, he was dunking the ball, giving somebody dapping halfway down the court that fast. That's what I knew Michael Jordan wasn't here.
When you step on the floor, it doesn't matter how many times you've done it before. All that matters is that you do it now. Be true to the game, because the game to be true to you. If you try to shortcut the game, then the game's going to shortcut you. If you put forth the effort, good things will be bestowed upon you. That's truly about the game. And some ways that's about life too.
For me, losing just is the worst feeling in life at anything. Whether it's cars, golf, basketball, whatever it is.
I hate losing. It's not even question, but I have to respect losing, because losing is a part of winning. Yeah, and you never just, win. You got to lose to win. Losing is going to hurt AB, to a point where you would look at, how can I do things different? How can I change? How can I make this team better? And that's the thing about a team. And this too, is that before you can look at someone else, you gotta look at yourself in the mirror, because that's how things get started. And you gotta be willing to change.
You are, without question, one of the most gifted players I've ever seen. What makes you different from other people? Once again, it falls back to my parents in terms of how I approach a situation. I never feel that I'm at my best. I feel I still have room to improve. I still set goals for myself to strive for. I'm never complacent with what I've achieved. Even though it's been very successful for me, I still feel I have a lot to prove, not just as a player, but as a person, as a father to some extent, as a role model, in all aspects. So I'm never really too complacent with myself or with what I've achieved. When I get to a point where I feel I can't improve as a player, I walk away from the game. I still feel that I have a plateau that, I hadn't reached yet in terms of my skills or my expectations of myself. I'm always going to expect myself to do no certain things or surpass certain things, as long as I believe that then, my road to success is going to continue to expand.
Look, I don't have to do this. I'm only doing it because it is who I am. That's how I played the game. That was my mentality. If you don't want to play that way, don't play that. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I led you to believe it was easy when it wasn't. Maybe I made you think my highlights started at the free throw line and not in the gym. Maybe I made you think that every shot I took was a game winner, that my game was built on flash and not fire. Maybe it's my fault that you didn't see that failure gave me strength, that my pain was my motivation. Maybe I led you to believe that basketball was a God-given gift and not something I worked for every single day of my life. Maybe I destroyed the game, or maybe you just making excuses. Nam.
Impossible is just a big word thrown around by small men find it.
Easier to live in a world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change. Impossible is not a fact. It's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration. It's a dare. So I know why you go on Instagram. I know why because you just have the time. You have the time because you don't want to put that time into bettering oneself. You start going after your goals and you start achieving them. People will start looking at you differently, and secretly they will start hoping that you fail because it will make them feel better about the action they have never taken. Progression is an ugly road that leads to a beautiful place. And the sad thing about that quote that's true is most people never get to that beautiful place because they never persevere. They give up before it's their time. They quit before they see their breakthrough. That's why I love a breaking point. Because at a breaking point, that fork in a row, you got a choice. You can break down or you can break through. And when you choose to break through those adversities, strengthen you all those things that have come against you, it strengthens you. That's why you gotta find a meaning, a mission that carries you through this stage of resistance.
Get started and stay consistent. You have things to share with the world that only you can deliver, but you'll never experience them if all you replay in your mind are doubts and excuses on why going after your dreams now isn't a good time. You have what it takes. Get out of your own way. Don't count yourself out, yet everything you want to achieve is possible. It might take time, effort, and discipline, but it's all within reach.
So if you're in the woods and you don't know where to go, start walking. You got to start walking, because the perspective is not going to change. You have to start moving forward. You have to start taking steps in order to improve your vision, improve your perspective, change your perspective, make some kind of progress, and worst case scenario, you figure out that you walk the wrong direction, okay? Now you can walk in the other direction, and that's going to be fine. But standing, they're lost, and not doing anything is just waiting to die, waiting to starve to death.
The only thing in life that stands between you, everything you've ever wanted to do, is doing it. Not preparing to do it, not scheduling time to do it, not telling people you're going to do it, not reading books about how to do it, not watching videos about how to do it, but instead actually doing it.
There's a saying there, quote, that I really believe in, that when the pain of the current reality becomes greater than the fear of change, that's when we change. So like when the pain becomes so intense that it's greater than the fear that you have of the unknown, then you'll go into the unknown. You can stand there at the door looking at this abyss, but when it becomes so being painful that you walk into that, that's when the change happens.
But there's a hell of a lot more to you than you think, like way more. Enough to cope with the trouble of the world inside you. There is enough to cope with the trouble of the world. And if you had enough courage, you could let that out enough courage. And Faith, you could let that out and everything would be better because of it.
Only fail because they get caught up into what winning was. You're supposed to fail. At some point in time, you're supposed to get knocked down a couple times. You're supposed to lose. That's how you learn. Perfection is only a word because imperfection was discovered. You can't be perfect without knowing what imperfect is. You have to experience imperfection at some point to go, now I'm perfect.
I feel something is shifting. Some people are not strong enough to adapt to the change. Some people don't know how to put it into practice in order to go with the change. There will come the time, and it's not going to take long where a natural separation is going to take place. A natural separation, the ones that are able to read the signs, that are able to go with what is happening, to adapt to the changes this world is bringing to us, they will move on to another world. Other people that are unwilling, unable, maybe incapable of adapting to the coming changes. It is simple like this. They will stay with the old world, which is about to end.
An eagle flies at a certain altitude, and the only other bird flies at that altitude is another eagle. So if he find himself flocking with pigeons, he may be flying too low.
One of the things limiting you from your income, your impact, a world-class life. You care too much about what people think about you. You can be world-class, you can fit in with the world. You don't get to do both. One thing I've learned is everyone has an opinion. Why let the opinions of other people deny you from a life that will make history?
This is my question to you when you're going to free yourself. How long are you going to stay in this pain expecting change to happen in your life? How long are you going to stay in this situation, expecting things to change in your life? You've been here for the last year, the last 5 years, the last decade, staying in the same mess, accepting the same mess, and wonder why you're stressed, wonder why you're not happy, wonder why you're not fulfilled, wonder why you're not experiencing the life that you deserve, to experience when you're going to free yourself from the pain, when you're going to free yourself from selling for less. Because I want to tell you right now, you don't have to accept it. I know you know that, but I need you to feel that. Understand that you don't got to accept it. You don't have to stay where you're just tolerated and not celebrated. You don't have to stay where you're not happy. You don't have to stay where you're not being better. You don't have to stay where you're suffering. You can free yourself from it.